The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's October 24th, 2025. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined once again this morning by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day, presented today by Caneswear, your ultimate headquarters for all your Miami Hurricanes merchandise needs. You got Camo Gear Night coming at Hard Rock this weekend, and that means I know not too many of you guys already have Hurricane Camo gear, so you got to get on over to Caneswear. They got a whole lineup of stuff of the Adidas Camo look that's going to be introduced at the game on Saturday night. And you can stop by there. They're 15 minutes north of Hard Rock Stadium and get yourself a new shirt or they have all kinds of, I think they have hats. They have all kinds of stuff. And then get yourself outfitted for the game. But we'll talk more about that later. Matt, right now I wanted to start out with the Canes get to hit the field again, man. We're a little more than 24 hours away, and Miami gets its first chance of, I don't know if retribution is the right word, maybe repair, okay? Because what we found out last Saturday was in 3 hours, a lot can go away very quickly. And Miami went from being maybe the most respected team in college football to being disrespected quite a bit all over the place, heavily on social media. We talked about that a little bit earlier in the week, and it just reopened the performance against Louisville reopened a lot of doubt. And now instead of Miami is back, we're starting to hear same old Miami. Okay. And the truth of the matter is, and we talked about this a little bit in our content, both yesterday and today, it's really a lot of drama, because at the end of the day, when you cut to the core, Matt, that was a mulligan. Okay. It's like they are going to be able to move past what happened against Louisville, and we'll move past it very quickly with an impressive performance Saturday that will set them up for the next big moment at SMU the following Saturday. So they have a chance here to move past Louisville. That you win these next, few games and get yourself back on track, you're going to be back probably in the top 5 because other teams are going to lose, and you're going to be right where you want to be in the heat of the ACC race and right in the mix for the college football playoff. So the experience was a mulligan, but we've debated a few things. The first of which was how was the loss to Louisville a big deal or just a bump in the road? And that's an item that's on the website that you guys could check out if you haven't already. And I just think that is such an applicable topic, Matt, and it's going to be shaped by what happens tomorrow night on the field, and then obviously moving forward, particularly the following week when they go to SMU. Your thoughts?
It's a disturbing loss. Do you want to, look, words mean something, but one word, I hate using one word to find things, like we're going to do a rebuilding. Is this a rebuilding year still? Like, what's your definition of rebuilding, right? What's your definition of
we're going to talk about that one in a minute.
But what's your definition of a massive loss or not important loss or just a bump in the road? I mean, what we know is that this team is probably what we thought it was before the season, which is an imperfect roster, which we spoke about. This team also is probably going to follow a pattern that we've seen haunt Mario Cristobal for years now. He's had stretches of 3 losses in 4 games in every year he's been a head coach at Oregon and Miami, except for one. He has a record in November, December, and January of 20-18 as the head coach at Oregon and Miami, and the first 3 months he's 41-11. The pattern that we consistently have seen from Mario that I was hoping would be changed this year is that this is no longer a guy that when they figure out whatever he's doing, his coordinators are doing, and adjust, his coordinators or he or whatever it may be don't seem to make the adjustments needed to be good once these other teams have seen his tape and figured out what they need to do against him and blah, 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 blah. Like, that's the pattern that keeps happening every year, except for one that he's been a head coach at Oregon and Miami. It's a lot of years. That's what's disturbing, because you see it again crop up in this game that Miami's favored by double digits. From what I saw this stat, I haven't double checked it, but I'm not going to either because it'd be a pain in the ass to figure out. But somebody nationally wrote that he has the worst record in the country when you're favored by double digits. He has the most losses as a head coach, favored by double digits over however many years it's been. These are not the stats you want to see. They're not going to lose to Stanford. Stanford's just terrible. FSU was a fake good team in game one. They're obviously terrible also. Miami's going to do away with Stanford very easily. Okay, and I know I said they beat Louisville easily last week too, but now that I've had that data input that Miami's not that good, I still am telling you they're going to kill Stanford. Stanford's just awful. And Syracuse is awful too with their starting quarterback out. I mean, they've been just awful too. But that game in between those against SMU, I've already started looking at the SMU offense because I'm not wasting my time with Stanford. Okay, that SMU offense is very similar to Louisville's offense.
Yes,
and with the speed element, but it's even more diverse because they throw to their backs. They have multiple backs two backs that are weapons, right? Multiple receiving threats, two tight ends that catch the ball. Really good system with Rhett Lashley, and he schemes up really good things. And now that he's got to see what Louisville did to Miami's defense, he can use that additionally to on top of that do what he wants to do. I mean, this game, that SMU game, I think it's going to be both teams in the 30s if Miami's going to win it. I don't see them holding SMU below 30 points. I just don't, having seen what Miami's defense looked like last game. And they can say, oh, how great they looked after the first two series. They didn't. Okay? They didn't. Louisville shot themselves in the foot. I know fans want to say how great they did. Okay? I went through the next 5 drives after the first 2 touchdowns, and every single one of those drives, either a bad pass or a penalty, ended those drives. It was nothing that Miami did particularly well. To open receivers, these bad passes over their heads, whatever. I went through it all before. Okay, I'm not going to do it again. So, like, that SMU game is very, very concerning because if they lose that game, then this Louisville game is not a bump in the road. This Louisville game ended the season, right? Because 2 losses, they're not making the playoffs with 2 losses. They're not making the ACC title game with 2 losses. They're not making the playoffs with 2 losses. That's why this Louisville game was more than a bump in the road, right? Because the margin of error is gone. And as you look at SMU, it's not a real good matchup for Miami. It's just not. If Carson Beck doesn't play off the charts well, which who knows, right? He's so inconsistent. And we went back to last year at Georgia, right? 11 interceptions over a 4-game span. 9 interceptions over a 4-game span, then 11 touchdowns over the next 3 games. Like, with no interceptions those next 3 games. Like, he's just streaky. And depending which Carson Beck shows up in that game and the Pittsburgh game and the NC State game, maybe Virginia Tech, but probably not. Like, those are the games that are left that matter, right? Syracuse is terrible. Stanford's terrible. Does Miami win those 3 to 4 against decent-ish teams? I don't know. And God forbid they lose 2 of them. Can you imagine the fan outrage after all this roster building by Mario, after all the millions of dollars being thrown into this program? If they lose 3 games this year, I mean, after the start they had. So there's a lot riding on finishing undefeated. Like, they sort of have to, they sort of have to, or you go into the offseason with just this really negative energy.
But let's not do doom and gloom. I mean, right now they have 1 loss, and it's a mulligan if they can,
Right. Well, your subject was this a bump in the road or not? And the doom and gloom is, what if it wasn't a bump in the road, right?
Right. No doubt.
Bump in the road, obviously, things are great, but that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, no doubt. And
and by the way, these camo uniforms. I mean, people are posting on the message board. Will Carson be able to even see his wide receivers downfield with the camo on? And someone else said they decided to use them because nobody wants to see the real Miami Hurricanes uniforms on the field anymore after the last game. I mean, they're getting ridiculed for this uniform. Personally, I don't care what uniform they wear. I just hope it's not a distraction of any kind. I don't think it should be.
Badass, personally, I like it. What do you don't like? What do you think?
I'm a traditionalist, so it's fine. Look, they want to sell uniforms, right? They want it's all marketing, right? They just want people to buy new uniforms. That's what they want. That's why NFL teams change uniforms. That's why Major League Baseball teams have special uniforms. They want to sell if you only have one uniform that you always wear, fans buy the one uniform and that's it.
Yeah.
They don't keep buying other uniforms, right? So
and
that's
like
the
I
whole
said
point
earlier,
of it.
you guys can.
I'm not a fan
you
of.
guys
I'm not
can-
a fan. I'm a traditionalist. I'm not a fan of wearing different uniforms every day and week. An away uniform and a home uniform, and I'm good. Right? That's just me. I don't care what color they're wearing. It seems like people care more about what uniform they're wearing than if the team wins or loses. People are posting on the boards like, what color uniform are they going to wear this week? Because I guess they want to know what to wear to the game or whatever, what color to wear to the game. But I mean, how about orange at home, white away, and be done with it? Like that's what I would do if I was the boss. And we'd make no money. We'd sell no uniforms. But we'd be traditional.
Well, I know they have a lot of this stuff. They have a lot of this stuff over at CaneSport. if you guys want to dress like the team on Saturday night, you guys can pop over there and get yourself some gear. But yeah, like getting back to what we're saying, like I don't want to doom and gloom this. Like this is still a very good football team, okay? And the defense struggled against Louisville, but Louisville's a good offensive football team, and those two skill guys, the running back and the receiver, are as good as Miami's going to see this year. That Cristobal kid was looking to me like top 10 NFL draft pick potential. I mean, that kid can flat play, and he's so fast, and it doesn't even look like he's running fast. I mean, he's so smooth, and they schemed it up great for him. Now, you got another really good play caller coming up this Saturday at Stanford in Frank Reich, the head coach, and he doesn't have quite the same talent that Louisville has. So,
you don't think? Really? Breaking news. Hold on, breaking news. Let me write that down. Hold on. Stanford is not as good as Louisville. Okay, I'm going to use that in one of my stories.
But they beat Florida State, and it's not like the Miami defense is going to be able to be sleeping. Okay, I mean, they're going to have to be on their toes. I mean, schematically. I mean, Frank Reich will test them schematically, but the one that's really going to do it is the next week, Rhett Lashley, and it's a degree of difficulty elevated for the Miami defense, right now, no question. But, was the loss a big deal? I mean, it was a big deal. It was a big deal because of how it just changed the whole mood and the whole, mindset around the team. And that was because of the way it played out. I mean, they were badly outplayed. They were badly outcoached. And it was a complete breakdown of everything that they're trying to build at the U. And so you can't just slough off that loss. You can't just slough off that performance. I'm sure they have not done that out on Green Tree this week. I'm sure they have been working very hard. I know they have, to try to get this team back on track and in the right ways. But at the end of the day, it was a mulligan, and we will see, how things go.
You know what also is crazy now, and everyone does it. It's not just Miami, but so Miami misses 26 tackles in the game, and Corey Heatherman, part of his explanation this week was that, well, we don't tackle in practice, right? Nobody tackles in practice because you could get hurt. But you and I both remember back in the day, I mean, they were tackling all day long, hitting each other, tackling to the ground. I mean, there was no, I don't understand. It's almost like, in baseball, there used to be pitchers that would start and pitch 18 innings in a day. They'd pitch two ends of a doubleheader. Like that's true. Like
I know. I don't know how the hell they did that.
We live in this era now where just, I don't know.
They didn't throw as hard as they throw today.
I would be really interested to see if there's one team in the country that in the spring and fall just does full tackling every practice, pretends every practice is an actual game, and if they're better than everyone else because of it. I don't know. When his explanation is, well, it's hard to work on, we're just working on fundamentals, because all we can do is stud in practice. That's all we can do. We can't do anything else. So what are we going to do? I mean, like, I don't know. I find it so bizarre that they used to do it 10 years ago, and now it's like you can't do it. And then the other thing, Carson Beck, we didn't talk about this because we didn't do a show yesterday morning. Thank God we spared everybody the aggravation. But, I am such a big fan of Carson Beck, the person. And I know people don't like him as a person and think he's this prima donna. He owns 3 cars. He bought a big house. He lives off campus. Party guy. People in Georgia hated him. His teammates at Georgia hated him. This is the rap he has. I'm not making it up. This is not me saying it. This is just what you read out there. But he shows up and talks to the media, and yeah, his affect is a little off. Like, he's very aloof. He just is aloof. That's just how he is. And people who know him, at least from what I've heard, they say it takes a long time to really get to know him. He doesn't let people in personally into his house or into his personality. But they say, once you get to know him after a long period of time, great sense of humor, great guy, but that's what they say. Okay. And in these interviews, he's very calming. He seems very calm. He doesn't seem to mind saying he played terrible. He literally said, I played terrible. I mean, which I don't think quarterbacks at Miami have ever said. They'll say, oh, I made a mistake or whatever. I've never heard a quarterback at Miami say, I played terrible and I cost us the game. Like, coaches say that all the time. That's coach talk, right? Oh, it was my fault. It starts with me. I'm the guy.
He owned it. Give him credit.
You don't hear players say it very often, which is why when Mario says it or Shannon Dawson says it or Corey Hedman says it, I just blow that off. Like, they all say that. They're doing it. And as reporters and as fans, we know that they're trying to protect their players. It was my fault. It wasn't on the team. It was my fault. We all lose together. We all win together. Blah, blah, blah. But I can't remember the last time I heard one single player at Miami say, I played terrible. It was my fault. And he seemed to acknowledge that he made a mistake he didn't say he threw Elijah Lofton under the bus by saying he ran the wrong route, which he did say. Yeah. But he sort of said, well, I was asked the question, what happened? He seems to not realize you don't have to say the whole answer of what happened on the final play. I don't know.
It's in the heat of
with that part of it.
Yeah.
But I think he'll bounce back. I really do, especially against Stanford. They have one of the worst secondaries in the country.
Yeah, it's a good bounce back opponent.
Right. So now he's going to do well against Stanford. If he doesn't do well against Stanford, I mean, forget about it. It's over at that point, okay?
And then he goes to SMU with confidence, a game that he's probably going to score in the 30s and maybe even the 40s to win.
That's what I was getting to, right? So he gets back on track, and he is this streaky guy. So if he gets back on track against a really bad defense, maybe you got a chance against SMU. Because, again, I know Gary was saying doom and gloom. I was answering the question, Gary, about whether it was a big game or not. A big loss or not. And the whole point of it, if it is a big loss, if that's your answer, is because you're going to maybe lose to SMU and now your season's over.
Yeah, but you were getting a little doomish and gloomish. I mean, talking about 3 losses. And
if you beat them and then you lose to SMU, now your season's, now maybe you're looking at 3 losses, right? Because you lose to SMU, what are you playing for at that point, right? So, you're looking at maybe 3 losses at that point. So that SMU game now becomes the season. And then, Syracuse are going to beat, but then every other game becomes a season after that point. Everything's on the line. Every single game's a playoff game, which is difficult. But I do think Carson Beck, has his head on straight. You hear different stuff from different people, and maybe it's just a show for the media. And he's so used to doing interviews because he's done them forever, and he just sort of knows how to speak. Maybe he's very smart, clearly, very eloquent, clearly. Knows how to answer questions clearly and concisely. So, is he just putting on a show for the media and sort of doing what he knows he's supposed to do? I don't know. That's the question. But we'll see if he responds. He has to respond. And if you watch his demeanor in the game, it's just hard to tell if he's that fiery, let's go get him guy, or sort of that aloof, hey, we tried. Let's just try to get back to doing well again, guy. I don't know what's better for this team. Every team's different. Some teams need a fiery leader. Some teams do better with a mellow dude who's not going to go crazy on everybody, But I happen to think this
fiery leader is just fine right now.
Huh?
I think fiery leader would be just what the.
Well, so I was going to say, I think this particular team needs a fiery leader. Needs that Cam Ward alpha male, whatever they call them.
And they need leadership, Matt. The leaders have got to take control of this team. I mean, there's just been bad stuff going on. You got players going on social media, bitching about their playing time. Yeah. Like, that's terrible. Like, that is just, I mean, some of these young kids in the receiver room, man, are like really.
Well, see, that's what's interesting. There was the leader on offense is clearly CJ Daniels, who just got here,
And Inez Cooper's trying to fill that role.
Yeah, he's trying, but he's not built like that, I mean, I get it. And Francis Manuel, you could say they're all leaders. They all want to be leaders, but CJ Daniels clearly is the most outspoken, vocal guy who seems to have the personality to really bond and get along with everybody and bring everybody along with him, And then on defense, Ruben's not that guy. Akeem's not that guy. I don't know. I think personally, I think Zechariah Poyser is the most outspoken leader on that whole defense. And so you're talking about guys who like just got here, who now are facing the wrath of the Miami Hurricane Nation and aren't maybe used to it. I mean, Poyser came from Jacksonville State, and yeah, I know Beck dealt with it at Georgia, but he's not that guy, right? And then CJ Daniels, he was at LSU, but he didn't have much of a role there. So I don't know. And before that, he was at a minor program. Like, I just don't know what happens with leadership, because you want a guy like Mark Fletcher, who's just maybe too nice. I don't know. Like, nice guys don't like to scream and yell and demand. And Mark Fletcher's way too nice.
It doesn't have to be screaming and yelling.
They sort of do. If guys are underperforming, you can't be like, hey, try to do better. You can't be the nice guy. You just can't. Like, that's not how it works in football. If guys aren't performing to the level they need to be. But so I don't know. I just don't see that long-term leadership. The guys who've been here 3-4 years, that it's just like, the Ed Reeds. You go down the list, right? The Blades is like, there have been so many, Ray Lewis, so many, Irvin. Just, you can name the leaders in every single 4-year gap, that just like these, like, that they got it covered. You don't even need a coach near them. I don't see that yet. I haven't seen it at all during the Marcus.
Hopefully it's there, and we're just not seeing it because it needs to be there right now.
You see, guess what? They would release the videos, Gary. If there was this player in the middle firing everyone up, that video would be on the internet in 2 seconds. Okay.
Well, I heard Inez Cooper call the player-only meeting. That was something that was out there. I mean, but it's like I think that the guys that are that are the leaders of the team are trying to kind of take control here, because they're at a fork in the road. They are at a critical point of the season now. They got to get things back on track on Saturday, which they should. And then they've got a monster game on the road the next week. And
can you picture Inez Cooper jumping up and down in the middle of the entire team, screaming and yelling and get everyone pumped up? No, that's not Inez Cooper. Okay.
No,
that's the guys they need. That's every player I just named. That's what they did. They inspire. They fire you up. They get your adrenaline going to a level that you're going harder or faster. Like you can't simulate getting your adrenaline higher. I mean, unless you're going to release a lion to chase everybody around the field, like, you can't simulate it. And that's, at some point they're going to have that, right? And I know Mario wants that. I'm just pointing out, I'm not sure that's there yet. I think the team's really good. I think they did get hit really great in the transfer portal. I think they're good enough to win the rest of their games for sure. But if they don't, then what we'll be talking about is Carson Beck and leadership of the entire team. Like, those are the missing ingredients. Like, if Carson Beck falters, and then where's the leaders, right? That's what we'll be talking about at the end of the day. And I'm just bringing it up now because if it happens, I don't want people to be like, well, you guys never said this was coming. You guys never saw it coming. Like, if it does come and it goes south, those are your two reasons. And I guarantee you that's what everyone will be pointing to if they drop another game or two.
All right, we did another roundtable on the subject of the Hurricanes still in rebuild mode after the Louisville loss. And, Matt, I know that you're a believer that they are. I'm a believer that they're not.
Based on the definition of rebuilding, yeah, we could talk about it.
Yeah, and it's like I don't feel that here in year 4 of Mario, after turning the entire roster, that they are in rebuild mode. I think they are in win now mode.
Well, what's your definition of rebuild mode? That's the whole point. What's your definition?
Well, my feeling is that losses aren't excused. Like, this is the time to win. Not Miami, any program that's in rebuild mode, what does that mean to you? That's the definition. You're trying to build your roster back to get to a point where you can be competitive. I think
so what's your definition of to be competitive then? What's that definition?
Well, what they are this year, they're clearly competitive. They were the number 2 team in the country.
Generally, forget Miami. Generally speaking, what's a competitive team look like to you? 8 wins, 9 wins, 10 wins? What's a competitive team?
You gotta be relevant. You gotta compete for the ACC title, and you gotta get yourself to the college football playoff this year.
Okay, so not win the ACC title, but compete for it, like be close.
Well, you get into a game like that. It's a one-off game against a team that theoretically is as good as you. So there's going to be a good team that's going to lose that game. So, I don't want to say the whole season rides on the ACC championship game, because if you get there with one loss and you're in the ACC championship game, you're probably making the playoff, regardless of what happens in that game. I'm assuming that Miami would still make the playoff if they are 11-1 and in Charlotte. They'll be, again, in the top 2 or 3 in the country. And if they were to lose a tight game to Georgia Tech, which I don't know that they would have won. I'm not trying to make a prediction here, but I'm expecting Georgia Tech to get there. And if they were to lose a tight game against Georgia Tech and Georgia Tech's sitting there undefeated or with one loss, I'm thinking Miami and Georgia Tech would just slide right over to the playoff. I mean, I think 2 ACC teams will make the playoff, but we don't want to get too far ahead of it. But my point is that this is not a rebuilding program. This is not a rebuilding team anymore. We have been there and done that. Okay. It is time to win now. And anything less than winning now is a disappointment. And there is no spinning it. There's no massaging it. There's no sugarcoating it. It's win or you're failing. And so I don't, that word rebuild, Matt, that is not to me in the vocabulary anymore. Hopefully never again at the Miami Hurricanes football program, because I think that Mario's building this program to sustain itself over time. And I know they'll need players. They're going to lose a lot of talent this year. They'll need to go and get some players in the portal, I'm sure, and come back next year with a rebuild, a little bit of a rebuild. Yeah, there I'm using that word, but rebuild's not a good word. Retooled roster, but no, a rebuilding program, not to me.
Oh, okay, my turn. We'll see if I can get through this without you interrupting me. All right, so you said
no. You're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. Don't even use that word rebuild.
So you said Mario's building the program to sustain itself over time, which sounds like you're still building it. You said come back next year with a rebuild, and then corrected yourself and said retooled roster. So I don't even understand. I was trying to understand your definition, because I'm going to make mine. I'm going to make my definition very clear to people. Why I think it's still in the rebuild mode, okay? Because literally, to me, the definition of rebuild is that you built to something and now you have to get back there again, right? That's literally the definition, right? You have to rebuild to what it once was. So we're talking about the Miami Hurricanes rebuilding, right? My definition is the Miami Hurricanes, are they rebuilding? And the Miami Hurricanes built to a national title contender. Now they have to rebuild to that. So when that's your pinnacle, when that's what you're trying to reach to, they're still rebuilding because they're nowhere near what that level used to be. So you have to build back to that. That's literally the definition of rebuild by my definition. I understand Gary's definition is a little different, okay? His definition for rebuilding is compete for the ACC title. My definition of rebuilding is compete for the national title and be close to winning the national title or win the national title every single year. Have the roster built so that it's perpetual, not that you have to retool the roster every year, not that,
Well, I'm just thinking they're losing a lot of guys after this year.
Of course. Yeah. But that's why they have 57 freshmen and sophomores on the team. I mean, why else do you have freshmen and sophomores?
Hopefully you're right.
Yes. Do you have those guys just to bring in juniors and seniors every year? I mean, if they're not going to make those guys their starters, then why are we even recruiting?
I hope you're right.
For depth? Because the starters are playing 70, the starting defensive ends are playing 70 reps a game. So yeah, they lose a lot of guys. And the whole, when they built it, right, the word build again, when they built it to championship level, if you notice those years, every year it was just self-sustaining. The backups would take over for the starters, and you wouldn't even notice a drop-off a lot of the time, right? They'd still be winning 10, 11, 12, 13 games every single year over a long period of time. And that's when they'll be rebuilt, right? That's when the rebuilding is done. Then you're sustaining, right? Because after the rebuild, you just sustain. So if Gary thinks they've already rebuilt now because they're not rebuilding anymore, and he just wants to sustain at the level they're at now, I think he's wrong. I don't think this is the level you want to sustain at. I don't think it's good enough. I want a better roster. I want a national championship level roster, which I don't think they have. Gary might think so, but I don't need to sustain at this. I want to build up higher and then sustain it. That's why I say they're still rebuilding.
Well, listen, if the goal is to compete for the national title every year, no, the program is not at that point yet. Okay. But to me, that doesn't make this a lingering rebuild situation.
You're getting hung up in this notion that rebuilding is for programs that won 3 games a year or something.
Yeah, or it could be that won 8 games or 9 games too. If your goal is to be a national title contender, you got to win 11, 12 games. But this isn't the 1980s. I write about this in our roundtable. We may never again see a Miami team with the kind of layered roster that Miami had in those glory years in the 80s. I mean, where
if you don't hit in recruiting,
yeah.
If you don't hit in recruiting, you have to rely on the transfer portal. You're 100% right.
I don't know that you can hit in recruiting to that degree because
they can take more than 25 now. They can pay these guys more than anyone else.
Everybody's got money and everybody's buying players, and those best players are being split amongst more teams now. You know, the Alabamas and the Georgias of the world, it was easier for them to dominate before NIL because they got all the best players.
Correct. And now we've moved up. Now this has helped us.
Now some of the best players are going. Well, some are going to Miami, some are going to other places, and there's a lot more parity in the college game, and it's a lot.
It's funny you say there's more parity because I actually think it's the opposite. Because the haves, the 20, 25, maybe 30 programs that have money, they're getting everybody they want. It's just whether you're getting the right guys or not, you know, that fit your system, that if you're running the right system or not, if you're getting coached up and improving every year, because they can literally buy 40 recruits, 35 recruits. There's no more 25 limit, no more 85 limit for Miami. There is
nobody's getting everybody.
If Miami has the money in place, they can get plenty of top freshmen signed to, and guess what? You can sign into multi-year contracts pretty soon, right? Because they sign with your school. You don't have to do NIL stuff year by year anymore. The transfer portal window has been winnowed down to nothing. Good luck transferring if you want to leave after spring practice when you realize you're a third teamer, but you were a 5-star in high school. Like, you're stuck. If you try to graduate early, you're still stuck. They took that away. So moving forward, I think Miami's set up perfectly. They have the money. They have a ton of young guys that are going to have a lot of trouble leaving unless they figure it out in December that they want to be out of there within a 10-day window or whatever the hell it is now. There's no spring portal. So I think everything is set up great. You know, Miami's gotten a ton of young talent. They're developing the young talent. They've had top 10 recruiting classes every single year under Mario, full recruiting classes. I don't understand why you think like there's so much parity and Miami can't get anybody anymore. They're getting tons of young guys. They just haven't really shown up yet en masse.
Yeah. So obviously every year it's going to be a challenge building a roster, but like your foundation is in place now. And I'm not making a single excuse for anything this season. Okay. And if that makes me seem too harsh, so be it. And I know some people thought I was pretty harsh after this last game. I mean, like, man, that was bad the other night. Like,
it was bad.
When you get outplayed and outcoached to that degree, and I know it was a 3-point game, baloney. It might have been a 3-point game on the scoreboard. It was not a 3-point game in actuality. And, you know, when you get outplayed to that degree and you have the goals that this program has and the financial and emotional commitment that has been made to this thing, it's time, man. This is the time. I don't care. Like, I grimace when you and everyone else starts bringing out all these Mario Cristobal stats from the last 10 years, you know, when he was building Oregon and building Miami and, you know, all these numbers that don't, reflect so positively all the time. And because I don't think that has anything to do with what's happening this year. And, I know that what a lot of people, the raps that people put on Mario was some of what we saw the other night against Louisville, but I don't think that anything that happened against Louisville the other night happened because of what had happened in the past. It happened because in the present, the head coach of Louisville was a boss that night, okay? And he put together a great game plan, and he brought a very motivated football team into Hard Rock that was on a mission to beat the number 2 team in the country, and the number 2 team in the country just showed up, okay? And did not match that level of energy, preparation, intensity, and got handed to it pretty good. Okay. Nothing to do with what happened at Oregon. I'm sorry. I mean, I know everyone loves those numbers. I don't. I don't think it has anything to do with what happened, 5 years ago at Oregon. Okay. But now it's time to look forward. And we got the rebound game against Stanford on Saturday night. And then we'll be talking a lot about this SMU game next week because it's going to be a real big one. All right, let's take a moment and let's hear from our friends at CaneSport.
Welcome to CaneSport. New store, new items, same great experience. Family owned and operated since 2010, CaneSport has the latest merchandise from the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, Inter Miami CF, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of 595, or online at caneswear.com. CaneSport, the spot Miami fans shop.
All right, man. Like we talked about it earlier in the show. The Canes fan needs some clothes for this week because this is what the team is going to be dressed like out there at Hard Rock Stadium on Saturday night. And you want to match. It's like you've been wearing the orange T-shirts and polos or the white or green T-shirts and polos for game after game after game after game after game. Here you have a one-off look. You have a special brand that Adidas has brought to this game, kind of like a military appreciation type of situation. And the Canes are going to be in camos, and you probably are going to want to be too. So CaneSport, man, it's 15 minutes north of the stadium at 2655 South University Drive in Davie. You can go up there. They'll load you up on some camo stuff. They have men's, women's, kids, all sizes, everything that you could possibly need. A bunch of different items that are all set. Let me see. They got T-shirts, hats, jerseys, a little bit of everything at CaneSport to get you ready for the Saturday. So get on over there at 2655 South University Drive in Davie. If you want to, you're kind of out of time. I guess you can't really go to caneswear.com and get your camo gear. You can get your Canes gear for future at caneswear.com. But if you are in town for the game or live in town, go by CaneSport on your way to the stadium. You got time. 7:30 kickoff. They will be there all day, and you can get yourself some of this Adidas camo gear and be dressed to impress when you go to Hard Rock for the Stanford game on Saturday night. All right, Matt. Mario Cristobal, he had a few things to say yesterday. He's looking for discipline and focus from his football team. And, the way he summed up the week was he acknowledged they didn't coach or play well enough or execute well enough, spent a lot of time with film, and just tried to confront everything head on and demand that these mistakes get corrected and that this become a better football team. And he thinks they did that. I mean, I don't think he would necessarily say any differently. If he didn't felt they did that, then he would have to be doing things to do that. But listen, some of the things they had to address, obviously beyond execution, is the penalties. Penalties and missed tackles, Matt, really got them in that game the other day. And just cutting back on the penalties and tackling better like they were earlier in the year would go a long way towards the kind of result they're looking for against Stanford on Saturday.
Yeah, and Stanford's in California, so it makes sense that it's sort of reminiscent to me. This black bear in California. I don't know. Did you hear about this in the news? It's pretty funny. Broke into the zoo. A wild black bear broke into the zoo in California, and they found him hanging out by the bear enclosure with these 3 other bears that are enclosed in the fence.
What city? Which zoo?
Sequoia Park Zoo in Eureka, California, maybe. But the point is, like, Miami's the bear. Miami's the wild bear, and they got to break into the zoo and make their friends. Like, they should make everyone happy. We should be the friends of the Miami Hurricanes. We shouldn't be mad at them, right? We should be welcoming them with open arms. They have to break through and stop losing games they shouldn't lose and start playing well and get rid of the missed tackles and be consistent game after game after game. I don't know if that makes any sense. I just want to mention the bear breaking into the zoo. I thought it was funny. So we'll see. This game this weekend doesn't mean a lot to me. The only way it would mean anything to me is if Miami just doesn't play well again. They're going to win, but if they don't play well, win by a touchdown or something like that would be very disappointing. Yeah. You need to see them have that fire, be back on their game, stop making dumb mistakes, maybe have some fiery moments with each other. Like something. I don't know. I just want to see a spark. I want to see something that says to me, this team understands what's at stake. This team is playing together. This team is desperate to win the rest of its games. Not, everyone hates us now because we lost the game, and Carson Beck sucks, and our coordinators suck, and Mario doesn't know how to tell when there's 30 seconds left and he should call a timeout, and like that stuff needs to be gone from the public lexicon. You can look it up, Gary. It actually makes no sense. It needs to be gone from the public lexicon because these are the issues that have held Miami back, right? Ever since Mario's took over this program. It's just been one play or one person or one position or a mistake by the coaches. Like, it just cost them entire seasons. These incidents, these isolated 1 game or 2 game incidents. And it's so frustrating. And maybe that's why I'm doom and gloom, according to you. God forbid I mention both sides of a question, but spend more time talking about the doom and gloom side because that's my personality. I'm going to go see the Bruce concert. Actually, I'm going to see the Bruce concert today. So that should be uplifting.
The what concert?
Bruce. Not Bruce concert. Bruce movie. The Bruce concert movie. The Bruce movie concert. I don't know what you call it.
I got it. Okay.
Yeah. So look, that's going to get me revved up for the Miami game. I'm going to do Bruce tonight, Miami Hurricanes tomorrow night. Then on Sunday, Gary makes me go in and spend the entire day in my man cave doing work.
In the lab. We send you in the lab.
What do you want to call it?
Greatness happens in the lab.
It'll be a lot of fun until Sunday. I'm excited about the next 2 days. Not so much about Sunday.
Well, the truth of the matter is, by the end of the week, Sunday, everyone's had enough of Matt. So we, his wife, his kids, me, it's like, Matt, get the hell, go in the lab and do some work or something, so nobody has to put up with them. All right, so we got a bunch of stuff to keep you guys entertained, hopefully on the website today. We've got our You Bet CaneSport show with Lee Sterling. That's always an interesting show. I hope you guys check that out every week. We have our Countdown to Kickoff show with Dara and Noah breaking down Stanford a little bit. That's on the website. We got some recruiting features. We talked to Markel Bell today and get his perspective on the game. So lots of stuff at CaneSport.com, and the guys will be going out to the crib tonight as well. So you'll get a little high school flavor on the site in addition late Friday night and Saturday morning. But that's going to conclude it for Good Morning CaneSport for today. We thank you guys so much for starting out your day with us. Hope that we've given you some things to think about here as you prepare to either go to Hard Rock Stadium Saturday night or watch the Canes on television. For Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. We'll look for a big Canes victory on Saturday night. We'll see you guys back on Good Morning CaneSport Monday morning. Have a great weekend, everybody.